It is 11 at night, the house is quiet, nothing is on. You are either almost asleep or close to it. Your dog stands up, walks to the corner of the room, stares at the wall, and barks, not once, repeatedly, at a wall. In a room where there is nothing, you look, you check, you tell them to stop. They do, briefly. Then they go back and bark at the wall again. Every owner who has lived with a dog has a version of this story. The corner of the living room at 2 a.m., the ceiling above the kitchen, the empty hallway, the patch of garden with nothing visible in it. The dog barking with complete conviction at something that, as far as you can tell, does not exist. The question most owners ask at that point is there something wrong with my dog? The answer is almost always no. But the real answer, the one that actually explains what is happening, requires understanding something about your dog's sensory world that most owners have never been told. Because when your dog barks at nothing, they are not barking at nothing. They have never once in their life barked at nothing. There's also one specific type of this behavior that is worth paying attention to differently from the rest. We will get to that at the end. Let's start with why the word nothing is the wrong word entirely. Number one, it is never actually nothing. The word nothing, when an owner uses it to describe what their dog is barking at, means one specific thing. It means nothing I can perceive. That is a very different statement from nothing is there. Your dog does not experience the same world you do. They experience a version of the world that is dramatically richer in sensory information across multiple channels simultaneously. The gap between what you can detect and what your dog can detect is not small. In several sensory domains, it is so large that the two of you are effectively living in different informational environments inside the same room. When your dog barks at what looks like empty space, they are responding to something real in their informational environment that simply does not exist in yours. The bark is not a malfunction. It is a precise, appropriate behavioral response to a genuine stimulus. The fact that you cannot identify the stimulus does not mean it is absent. It means your sensory equipment is not built to find it. Understanding what your dog can detect that you cannot is the only explanation for this behavior that actually holds. So let's go channel by channel. Number two, what your dog can hear. Human hearing range runs from approximately 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. Your dog hears from approximately 40 Hz to 65,000 Hz. That upper range is the critical number. At frequencies above 20,000 Hz, your dog is receiving auditory information from a world that is completely silent to you. Not quieter, completely absent. You do not hear it at reduced volume. You do not hear it at all. In the range your dog can hear, and you cannot, there's a significant amount of activity in any inhabited building at any hour. Pipes carry water at frequencies that produce ultrasonic vibration. Electrical systems hum at harmonics above the human threshold. Rodents, whose primary communication range sits between 20,000 and 50,000 Hz, move inside walls and beneath floors in a frequency band your dog can hear clearly and you cannot detect at all. Insects, HVAC systems cycling, the specific resonance a structure produces when wind pressure changes against it. In 1983, researchers at the University of Nottingham, studying canine auditory range, confirmed that domestic dogs consistently detect and respond to sounds in the 23,000 to 65,000 Hz range that produce no measurable response in human subjects tested under identical conditions. The dogs were not responding to imagination. They were responding to a real acoustic environment that the human subjects shared the room with and could not access. When your dog barks at the wall at 11 p.m., there is a reasonable probability that something is moving inside that wall at a frequency you will never hear. Your dog heard it from across the room. They walked to the source. They told you about it in the only language they have. You looked at the wall and saw nothing. They were looking at the wall and hearing something specific enough to pinpoint its location. Number three, what your dog can smell that you cannot. The hearing explanation covers a significant proportion of barking at nothing incidents, but smell covers a different category entirely, and in some ways a more unsettling one for owners to think about. Your dog's nose contains 300 million olfactory receptors. Yours contains approximately 6 million. The region of their brain dedicated to analyzing scent information is proportionally 40 times larger than the equivalent region in the human brain. What this means practically is that your dog can detect scent concentrations that are, depending on the compound, somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 times lower than the threshold at which a human can detect anything at all. They are not smelling the same things you smell more intensely. They are smelling things that are, from your perspective, not there. Scent persists. A mouse that crossed your kitchen floor 3 hours ago left a scent trail that is invisible to you and clearly readable to your dog. An animal that was outside your window 2 hours ago left traces that have drifted inside through gaps you cannot see. A person who walked past your front door left a scent record on the door itself that your dog can still read the next morning. Researchers at Auburn University's Canine Performance Sciences program, studying scent detection in working dogs, documented that trained detection dogs could locate scent sources buried at depths of up to 40 feet underground and could follow trails more than 72 hours old across surfaces that had been exposed to weather. These are not special dogs. These are dogs using a sensory capacity that every domestic dog carries. When your dog sniffs the corner of the room and then barks at it, they may not be responding to something present. They may be responding to something that was there. The scent record is still active, the source is gone. But to your dog, the information is current. They are barking at a ghost only in the sense that ghosts are things the living cannot see. What was in that corner was real, it just already left. Number 4, why they bark at walls and ceilings. Specifically, the wall and ceiling cases deserve their own explanation because they are the ones owners find most difficult to dismiss. When a dog barks at open space, the owner can at least imagine a distant sound or a drifting scent. When a dog stares at a specific point on a wall or ceiling and barks with apparent certainty, the explanation feels harder to find. But the wall and ceiling cases are, in most instances, the most straightforwardly explained of all. Walls and ceilings are where building infrastructure runs. Pipes, wiring conduits, HVAC ducts, structural cavities between floors. All of these carry sound, carry vibration, and in the case of any gap or junction, allow scent to surface. A mouse or rat moving through a wall cavity produces ultrasonic communication calls between 20,000 and 50,000 hertz as it moves. It also produces physical vibration against the wall structure that can be detected as low-frequency sound. And where there are any gaps, junction points, or ventilation openings, it produces scent that your dog can locate with enough precision to walk directly to the specific point on the wall where the source is closest. Your dog is not standing at a random point on the wall, they are standing at the point where the signal is strongest. They have triangulated the source. The specificity of where they stand is not mystical. It is a precise sensory localization that is beyond your equipment to replicate, but completely within theirs. In 2021, researchers at the University of Lincoln studying dog scent localization found that dogs could identify the specific location within a structure where a target odor was closest to the surface, consistently choosing within 15 centimeters of the actual source location, even through walls and floors. The dogs were not guessing. They were reading a signal that had a specific origin point and pointing directly at it. The next time your dog stands at a specific point on the wall and barks, they have found something. You just do not have the instrument to confirm it. Number 5, when barking at nothing is a warning sign. This is what I mentioned at the start. Almost every case of a dog barking at nothing has a sensory explanation: the hearing range, the scent detection, the localization of a source inside a wall, or beneath a floor that you cannot access. These are the explanations that cover the vast majority of incidents, and they are explanations for a dog behaving completely normally with sensory equipment you do not share. But there's a pattern of change in this behavior that is worth distinguishing from the baseline. A dog that has always occasionally barked at nothing is a dog using their senses normally. A dog that begins barking at nothing suddenly and frequently, when that was not their previous pattern. A dog that barks at nothing and appears disoriented, circling, confused, or unable to settle. A dog that barks at nothing and then continues in a way that does not resolve once the stimulus has passed. These represent departures from baseline that carry different information. Canine cognitive dysfunction, which is the dog equivalent of dementia, produces behavioral changes that can include vocalizing at apparently nothing, disorientation in familiar spaces, and disrupted sleep cycles that cause nighttime activity, including barking. It affects an estimated 28% of dogs between 11 and 12 years old, and up to 68% of dogs over 15. In 2019, researchers at the University of California, Davis, studying canine cognitive dysfunction, found that owner-reported vocalization at nothing was one of the 3 most consistent early behavioral indicators of the condition. Neurological conditions, vision loss, and hearing loss that produces tinnitus-like states can also produce vocalizing behavior that looks like barking at nothing. The distinction is pattern change. Your dog barking occasionally at walls and corners is your dog reporting on a sensory world you cannot access. Your dog beginning to bark at nothing when that was not their previous pattern, particularly in an older dog, is your dog telling you something has changed internally. Those 2 behaviors look similar from across the room. They're not the same. If this is giving you a clearer picture of what your dog is actually experiencing, subscribe. We cover dog behavior at this level every week. It is free and it changes how you see them. Number 6, what to do and what not to do. Now that you know what your dog is actually responding to, the question is, what to do when it happens. The first thing not to do is punish the bark. Your dog is reporting on something real. Punishing the report does not change the information they are receiving. It teaches them that reporting to you produces a negative outcome. Over time, a dog that has been consistently corrected for this behavior does not stop detecting what they were detecting. They stop telling you about it. The sensory world they are navigating becomes something they manage alone, without you. The second thing not to do is repeatedly call them away and redirect without ever investigating what they were responding to. Sometimes investigating is as simple as checking whether there is evidence of pests in the area the dog keeps returning to. In a meaningful number of cases where dogs persistently bark at a specific wall or floor location, a pest inspection finds exactly what the dog was indicating. The dog was right. The owner just did not have the tool to confirm it before. What to do instead is acknowledge and release. Walk to where the dog is standing, let them show you the location, say something that signals you have received the information, calm and brief, and then invite them away from it. What you are doing is confirming that the communication channel is open. You received what they sent. The situation does not require further escalation from them because you are now aware. For dogs that bark persistently at a specific location, night after night, investigate the location seriously. Check for pest activity. Check whether there's a pipe or duct running through that section of wall. Listen against the wall yourself in the frequency range you can access. You will usually find something, even if what you find is only evidence that something was there rather than something currently present. And for an older dog that begins this behavior when it was not previously present, take it to a veterinarian. Not because the bark itself is dangerous, because a new pattern in an older dog is information about what is changing internally, and the earlier that information is investigated, the more options you have. Your dog has never once barked at nothing. Every bark had a source. Every source was real. The only variable was whether you had the equipment to find it. Now you know what to look for.